What's up, folks? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to answer the big 3 questions we have to answer every time we go bass fishing in a lake, a pond, a river. Doesn't matter. A puddle, wherever we're fishing, we got to answer 3 questions. So let's dive into it. We'll see you there. Ooh, nice one. Okay, so when we are going fishing, the 3 questions that we have to answer is, what do I throw? Number 2 is, where do I throw it? And number 3 is, when do I throw it? So I like to think of a couple things when I'm answering these 3 questions. So the first question is honestly one of the questions that most people overthink the most. And I like to base what I throw based on water clarity, time of day, and season, right? So if I'm gonna take it by season, the colder the water, so in the winter, the spring, and the fall, the colder the water, the more subtle lure I want to throw. A blade bait, a Ned rig, a jig, an Alabama rig. All great cold water baits, but all are subtle in their own way. Now, when the water is warmer, let's say 55 on up all the way into that 70 to 80 degree range, I can throw pretty much anything that I want to, right? And that's going to be dependent upon other factors. But that water temperature puzzle piece is the first thing that I want to think of when I think, what do I want to throw, right? So the second thing when water temperature is determined is kind of water clarity versus the conditions overall that day. So water clarity is what I'm going to determine first. If I've got clear water, I am throwing a natural color, right? A natural color bait is going to get way more bites and attention in clear water. In muddy water, I'm going to throw a bait that is loud, right? The chartreuse spinner bait right here is a great thing with a big old number 5 willow leaf on it. It's a big old profile, but it's going to hit that fish's lateral line. It's going to provide that fish with a thump and a response to feel where that bait is coming from, right? So the murkier water, the louder the color, the louder the knock on the lure, the louder the rattle I want to throw. The clearer the water, in most cases, the more subtle that I want to get, right? In clearer water, I want to throw those whites and clears and those swim baits and those jerk baits and those things that are not loud and obnoxious. When I'm in that dirtier water, I'm fishing soft plastics. I am fishing that darker color, your black and blues, your day glow orange, or things like that. Now, when do I want to throw it becomes the third question, right? So we answered the first one. What do I want to throw? I want to throw something that fits the conditions that I'm fishing, right? Be it cold water, be it warm water, be it clear water versus murky water. The next question that I want to answer in that is when, right? When do I throw that? Generally speaking, in the morning and at night, you want to throw lures that are active because fish are active. You want to match your lure to the activity level of the fish, right? In the morning, I'm going to throw a buzz bait, a whopper plopper, a big swim bait, something where the fish are actively moving and chasing and engaging. As the day progresses, I might progress more to a finesse presentation as the fish become more lethargic, as the fish become not in an active feeding mode. I'm going to have to entice that. Now, there's 2 schools of thought on this, and forward-facing sonar has taught us something. That used to be the old school way of thinking. The new school way of thinking is if you present something in a fish's face, you're going to drive a reaction strike. This is where your jerk baits come in. This is where your big glide baits come in. This is where, tickle winding or hover strolling baits in front of fish comes in. You can get those fish to bite, but there's 2 schools of thought there. 1, you're looking for pure reaction. You're grinding it through their face. You're making them react. Or 2, you're holding it in front of their face long enough so they finally get annoyed with it and bite. So that's kind of your win right there. I like to think of early morning, late in the day, more active lures, middle of the day, calmer lures because fish are kind of in a more neutral mode. Now, that goes out the window based on kind of where the fish are, right? So the third thing that you got to take in, and kind of the most important one, is where. So the when and the what are relatively easy to decide. The where is the hard part. 99% of catching fish is being in the right place at the right time, right? I love my Omnia app for deciding where and how I want to fish. Now I could do an hour video on finding bass and different things, but generally speaking, when I open up my Omnia app, anytime I'm looking for major things that are going to occur. So what I'm talking about major things, I'm talking about structure in a lake, and then I'm talking about the cover that is relevant there. So when I'm here, the first thing that I want to do, generally speaking, is open up my Omnia app, and I'm going to go to the social vegetation. And what I'm going to do on social vegetation, I'm literally going to look. So here we have Lake Tippecanoe in Indiana, right? And what I'm talking about here on this map is I want to find areas with vegetation. And I want to find areas with vegetation that give the fish a range to choose from, right? I want deep water close to vegetation, and what I want are access points for fish. So gullies and cuts. So here's a great example of 20 foot of water coming up in, and then it's encircled by vegetation. That's a great place to start fishing because I can fish deep, I can fish shallow, I can fish vegetation all in one. You know, roll down here, we've got this next point that's underwater, 6 to 20 foot. We got a whole bunch of vegetation in there. There's gonna be fish in that range. And then I can start to narrow down the where. When I can start catching fish, I can repeat that pattern. So if I learn that they're in 8 to 10 foot of water in the weeds, I can run this entire lake in 8 to 10 foot of water and find likely areas where there's fish are going to be. That also helps me determine what I'm gonna throw, right? What do I throw? Where do I throw it? And when do I throw it? These are questions that we answer constantly, right? If I can find those things based on what I'm looking for, and vegetation is huge just in fishing in general all the time. We just did a video on Geist where the only place where you can find vegetation is also the only place we were catching fish that day. Vegetation is huge. It cannot be overstated how important that is. Now, you can see all of these dots and all of these vegetation things around here. Those are fish magnets. Start there and then refine your pattern based on something else, right? So every time we go fishing, we want to consult, what do we want to throw? Where do I want to throw it? When do I want to throw it? Those are kind of the 3 rules that I think of to help guide my fishing, just generally speaking. Now, there's a whole bunch of minutia and detail that we can get into, but when I'm breaking down water, that's what I want to think of. I want to start with seasonal pattern. Is it cold? Is it warm? If it's cold, I'm going to go to cold lures. If it's warm, I'm going to go to warm lures. Then I'm going to look at water clarity. Can I see 10 feet in that water? Is it super clear? I need to throw something super natural. Or is it super dark and murky and muddy? Fish are going to be tight to cover. I need to get up in that muck and junk and find them, right? What do I want to throw? Where do I want to throw it? Then I want to think of time of day. Do I want to throw something when fish are active? Do I want to throw something when fish are more subtle and passive, right? And then I want to think about, where am I going to fish, right? Am I going to find those vegetation? Am I going to find fish super shallow spawning? Am I going to find fish super deep in the wintertime, wintering up? Am I going to find fish on the ledges in the summertime, right? All things to consider. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Go to Omnia, support the channel, buy stuff from there. You get discounts, 10, 20, 30% off with our links. Do that. Help support the channel. Be a member on the channel. You get access to videos early. You get access to questions, different things that we ask and talk to you. Finally, like, subscribe, comment, give us a comment, right? Let us know what videos you want to see. We've got a whole bunch of stuff coming down. We just ordered the entire line of Crush City stuff from Rapala. We're going to do an underwater review on that here soon. And hey, spring is upon us. It's finally 70 degrees outside. We're going to be doing a lot of fishing soon. We'll see you out there, guys.